Hey, what is up, guys? This is Lemillion Nation coming to you again with another video. Now, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think about my video down in the comments, guys. And remember, hit that subscription button and hit that like button. It really helps out the video. Alright, now let's get into this. This is My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 5 review. Thank you so much for always supporting my videos, guys. Alright? Now, let's get into this without any further delays. Now, this episode starts off with Aizawa. Aizawa basically looks on each and every member of the first team and he talks to them. He talks to them on how to become better after analyzing their flaws. He looks on the battle and he said that, alright, look, you guys need to become better in this area. Frappy, focus on other person's mistakes and covering it instead of focusing on your own mistakes, right? He looks at each and every one of them and talks to them about all they did in the battle. Briefly, he focused on Kirishima and told him to make sure that he draws his opponents into a one-on-one fight, a head-to-head fight, right? And looked on the other members of the Class 1A team along with Shinzo and talked to them. Now, Shinzo, he made him know that it took him 6 years, it took Aizawa 6 years to master the cloth that he was using. So Shinzo shouldn't feel bad that he didn't get to draw out the full power because Shinzo was saying that he didn't even get to use a tenth of what he learned any at all, right? So now Midnight was looking on Shinzo as Shinzo internalized everything. Shinzo was looking at things and saying, whoa, didn't even get to do all I wanted to do. Right? Now Shinzo was thinking, replaying the battle in his head, right? Replaying the battle in his head instead of sulking any at all. He replayed the battle in his head and was trying to figure out a new strategy in order to move forward and get better. Midnight loved that she burst with rage. Not rage, she burst with excitement, right, guys? Alright, now Class 1B's teacher basically did the same thing. Well, I mean, not really the same thing, because he was really upset. He was really upset at his team, and his team actually lost. So he was thinking that, yeah, he was very upset, and he showed that he was very upset on them, and didn't even give them words of encouragement. Really, just showed how disappointed he was. But anyhow, they still are striving to do better, right? Now, basically, each team is going to build a strategy. We see each team building a strategy for their upcoming fights, right? We now see the second team gear up for their fights. Momo and Kendo they have an interesting encounter where Kendo knows that Momo is better than her, but still challenges Momo wholeheartedly. She recounts back to the sport festival where they wanted to go into this competition, and Momo was actually busy doing something else, and she noted that Aizawa must have thought it wasn't important for Momo to know about it or do it, so she didn't enter any at all. So Kenda was saying that, all right, well, I mean, this is the first time she's gonna get to actually fight Momo head on, right? She didn't want to be lumped in with Momo. She wanted to actually fight her directly and see which one of them is better, right? So she challenged Momo, and Momo was wholeheartedly accepting this challenge, right? Now, Hag Hokagure, right? That's the invisible girl. She was also there, and Tokoyami, he's also there as well. And Tokoyami has an interesting, a very, very, very interesting talk with Kuroro. I hope I'm not butchering these names, right? But Kuroro sets up a mental trap for Tokoyami at the first by telling him that they are destined to fight each other, right? He's saying that you're the same type as me, right? And now Tokoyami knows him, right? And he says your quirk lets you merge with the darkness and move freely within it. But the trick is that object that he merged with has to be movable in the first place. Like he's a perfect matchup for our boy Tokoyami, right? So they move on from there and they go into the battles, right? We see all of them. Dark Shadow actually finds a team, and now that's when Kurororo fuses with Dark Shadow. He goes into him and allows Dark Shadow to attack the other teammates, and this is where we see all of what he's capable of, and he's like the worst matchup. He's the worst matchup for Tokoyami, really. Now, basically, we see Tokoyami training with Hawks both times. Well, I mean, not really training because basically what Hawks did was just fly around, take care of the battle, and then his sidekicks take care of everything else afterwards. But Tokoyami was so frustrated that this the very first time he went to see him, like he didn't learn anything from Hawks. All Hawks really they wanted him there for at the first time, right? 20% of the time was to actually tell him all about the USJ attack with the Nomu and so on, right? So basically, that is what infuriated Tokoyami. Tokoyami kept on running after Ox, running after Ox until he began, until he began actually flying. The second time when he actually went to Hawks was when he began to develop his new super move. Alright? His new super move where Dark Shadow actually enveloped him. Because notably, Dark Shadow he was always floating. So I mean, if he holds Kirishima, if he hold, I keep on mixing up their name. If he holds Tokoyami, right, and tries to float with him, in theory, he can because he's always floating. So if he holds him, he should be able to float Tokoyami as well, and that is exactly what he's doing. Hawks actually takes Tokoyami flying, right? And he asks him, is this your first time flying? I mean, it was really it. And I mean, like, we see where Tokoyama is trying to fly with Dark Shadow at first, at the very first time when we saw him, he was trying to fly with him. But I mean, like, he didn't actually. We saw him jumping from building to building and he was in the air, like, floating a bit, yeah? But now, further on, we see him actually really flying. So 30% of it was 30% of the time, 30% of why Hawks wanted him there was to tell him about USJ, and the rest of the percentages, 50% was because he was wasting his potential, I believe, right? So 20% was because they were birds of a feather, that's what Hawks said, and 50% was what he wanted to hear about the league, and the other 30% he believed that he was wasting his potential. So he knows that Tokoyami can do better because they're birds of a feather. He's not interested in training the new generation, but he knows that Tokoyami can do better, right? So he took him flying, and now that's when he encouraged him on top of a high building up there, right? The ones who can fly should fly. Those were the words that encouraged him. Now we see the super move, Dark Fallen Angel, right? Dark Fallen Angel is where we see Dark Shadow hold Tokoyami and fly with him, right? No, guys. We see him use this move. We see him use this move against Kuroro, and he seriously grabs his teammate from Kuroro, right? And we don't see where Kuroro is able to actually envelop Dark Shadow that time. He thought he was tricking Tokoyami with the mental trap that he put up, and Tokoyami shows him that he wasn't fooled. That's when he actually grabbed his teammate and actually attacked him, right? Everyone is amazed at what Tokoyami could do. It's the first time they're seeing it. He uses his cape and blocks out the light and protects Dark Shadow from the light, and that's when he's able to really float and fly Tokoyami as well, right? Hawks help him to develop this new super move, right? So the fight is really kicking off, and Kendo actually noted that all of this would have actually happened when Kuroro she took it into her plan. Kuroro would actually fail in his plan to actually trap one of the members of Class 1A, and it actually did. That's why she started Plan B. She thought about Plan B and started it where the Mushroom Girl would allow mushrooms to develop everywhere, and that would be the start of Plan B. We haven't seen the rest of it as yet, but we will. Alright, guys. Now, this is basically all what happened in this episode. If you want to see more, check me out later on next week for the other part of this. This would be the next episode, will be episode 6. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you think. And this is Lemillion Nation signing out.